Welcome to our reading for Friday the 16th of December 2016. Remember, it's a general reading. See what feels right for you. See which signs, symbols, bells, whistles, messages, energies resonate for you and bring you clarity to what you're wondering, concerned, confused, inquiring, dreaming, and praying about. We're all children of God. We're all psychic. We're not all going through the same thing at the same time, at the same pace. So see what feels right for you. It could be one sign, and that brings you clarity. It could be the whole reading. It could make sense later. In the end, always use your logic and intuition together to make sound decisions based in love for the highest and greatest good of everybody. So we're all uplifted in love. See how it feels for you, how you ride. These energetic waves that come through here is always up to you. Is it your wave? Is it not your wave? Are you waiting for another wave, preparing for that wave, crashing into the wave, riding the wave, or ignoring the wave? Also, feel free to make this an interactive video if you want to pull some cards for yourself. And if you have some time, try to check out the links below, enjoy the music, see if there's some personal messages in the tunes, in the videos, in the lyrics for you. Thank you for joining me. It's a long reading again today. So I hope there are parts that resonate with you. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. I'll see you in a moment. Hi, welcome to our reading for Friday the 16th of December 2016. We're going to begin with the Fairy Tarot. Before I begin, I want to mention that it's been the day of endless interruptions. Even just a minute ago, I tried to start the recording and my battery just shut off. So I'm plugged in now. I think we're good. So let's begin the reading for Friday the 16th. And maybe we're just working with different energies coming around us. I have already been to, when I first turned this on, it was daylight out. And I've already been to a birthday dinner and done a bunch of things since, so I'm going to give this another go. And perhaps I could also mention happy birthday. I love you guys. If you have a birthday today, around this week, around this month, happy birthday. I know you guys have the old merging with the holiday kind of party birthday thing, and you know, everyone's always sort of busy and doing their thing, and sometimes I don't want to say we forget about you. So maybe if there's someone that you know that has a birthday around now, perhaps do something special, you know, for their birthday, not the / holiday thing. You know, maybe make the phone call, don't procrastinate, reach out, send a card, make a note. I feel like you should just call, take someone out to lunch, do something special for their birthday. I feel like it would be very much appreciated and probably surprising. And maybe if that's you and you have a birthday around now and you have some friends you can call, you could do something special for your birthday. Do something perhaps even sort of I don't know, relaxing, you know? If you're not into going out, or if you never go out, maybe now's the time to go out, but make it about you guys or you. Or perhaps just, you know, show up at someone's door and say, come on, we're going to go to lunch. We're going to go to dinner. Let's go. You know, and don't give them the option if they're always no, don't do that for me. Just get them in the car. You know, that's sort of what I'm getting. So all that being said, happy birthday. And let's get going with the reading. Let's see what God, Source, Holy Spirit, our higher self, angels, and energies of love have for the highest, greatest good of all. Let's get some clarity, focus, and understanding into the energies coming on through today, Friday the 16th of December 2016. Let's begin with one card, get some nice clarity and focus into the day, into Friday. The wow, that's nice. That's the 6 of Spring, and that's a victorious card in the Minor Arcana. So it's doing a good job in something that you put some energy, some time, some effort, some love, some spirit, some excitement, some phone calls, some conversations, some rehearsals into. You know, you put your energy into it and it's now coming through. It's also sometimes going through it. Like, oh, like you just went through battle. Like you've been through it and you're done. You're coming home. You're gonna, you know, take your time, relax a little bit, do something for you, do something for your family, do something with your friends. It's also being recognized. So it could be recognition in your family. It could be like, good job, mom. Good job, dad. That's awesome. How did you work that out so I could go to that rehearsal and my sister, my brother could still do that? It could be like really like appreciative energy towards you, to something that you did, you accomplished, or you got going. You fixed up. I feel like you got going. If you have kids, it's like your kids sort of loving you right now. Like they're looking at you like, yeah, mom, dad, you guys are awesome. If this is you and your job, this is your coworkers, definitely looking at something that you did, you got going, that, you know, you're the only one that did it right. You're the only one that got it going smooth, or you came in and sort of like smooth things over, like saved the spot, like saved that problem. It's like, you know, you were the call on the game show that solved that solution. Like, oh my gosh, what do we do about this? And you were there. So it could be something small. It's not a big destiny kind of card, but it's something that you feel good about. It's victory. It brings balance. It's finding the balance between all the energy you put into something and now giving yourself, I keep knocking these cards over, and now giving yourself time to like relax. It's coming home after all the energy, you know, going to the party, relaxing. It's after the work. It's after the energy. So it's also enjoying that after time, enjoying that. It's like, I feel like it's out of stress. Like you're not stressed here. You're relaxing. You're doing your thing. You're feeling comfortable. Even if you're in the spotlight, you deserve to be there. Sometimes this could be somebody needing the spotlight, like having to be in the spotlight all of the time. And that makes them feel like they're always victorious and they don't like to lose, because then they feel like they didn't show it all or they didn't prove something. It could be like that. But I feel like it's not really a big deal if it is. It's maybe just somebody a little competitive. Maybe a bad sport a little bit, but I don't feel like that's the big energy coming through. I feel like this is good energy for you. So if you have an accomplishment and not everybody around you is looking at you like grateful, you know, I feel like it's their own issues. Don't worry about it. You know, there's always going to be some spoiled sports going on. So I feel like in a way, you really don't have many spoiled sports. That's what I'm getting. They kind of even like you. They even kind of like you. You're getting like warming up. I'm getting warming up to you. So maybe there was someone who was sort of like, I wasn't sure about you or your situation, or that was someone else for you. You kind of weren't sure about before, and they like prove themselves. You know, it's like, oh, they're not so bad. I didn't realize that you were coming from that or had that experience or could handle that situation. So it's someone like pulling through. It's like I'm getting like, I just heard underdog, like spoon. So maybe it's like you were the underdog, or there's an underdog in the picture and you're going to like warm up to them. Like they're going to totally prove themselves, you know, so don't judge a book by its cover. If there's someone new you're working with, even if everyone's like, oh, they're really the best, and you're like, oh, I don't know. I feel like they're pretty good. Like, I feel like you'll get on board with them. You'll be like, oh, they are pretty awesome. Like, all right, come on. Like, learn the secrets of how this premises works, you know, or they just, I feel like it's a warm energy. So maybe there was coldness before, or this person was a little unsure of their environment, or that was you in an environment you were unsure about, and now you know how to handle it. You know how to take care of it. You know how to, you know, I feel like you're in control. You're in control with the instinct, with the horse. But look at all the light here. It makes me think of like street lights, or like lights that go on or off when they shouldn't. So if it's the daytime, they're all coming on. If the nighttime, they're all going off. It's something like that. Like special for you. So wonderful news on its way. Smart decisions that bring rewards and success and public recognition. So look at that beautiful flag. She is carrying, I mean, it reminds me of like band front, like a little bit, like the flags or twirling something, but it reminds me of embroidery as well. Like three-dimensional embroidery, or like even on the sweaters, you know, there's a lot of holiday sweaters that have the really interesting things. I'm not necessarily getting the holiday things, but I just thought of it. And when I look at this in the camera, that looks like a beautiful cameo. So that makes me think of that three-dimensional thing. Maybe you do something with enameling, or something with clay, or something with sculpting or jewelry or something, or there's something three-dimensional. I'm even getting like antique brooches when I look at that. Some old jewelry. Maybe you do something with antiques, or you have an antique style that you are bringing with you into the future, you know, with you on your thing. Like me, I'm getting styling. I'm getting the lights on you, like spotlights, but I'm getting sparkling, you know, like twinkling, shining, and brilliant energy that I feel like... It was really weird. I saw these as little orbs for a minute, but like you're creating these light orbs, this vibrant, loving energy. Maybe it's helpful knowledge. Maybe they're nuggets of wisdom. Maybe they're stepping stones that you've had of like, I'm getting like life experience that you've had with you. And I feel like, sometimes I say weird shit. I feel like when these orbs go out, they're like leaving her hand or his hand and going out there, and like others are catching them. Like you're giving away knowledge, you're giving away energy, like wisdom seeds for others to use, to plant, to do however they want with. Or maybe that's your business and you sell something and others are like receiving your product, or you're like, it's all, I feel like it's like a blessing. And I feel like they go out there and they're helpful. They spread and they're planted other places. And they grow like light that grows. All right, let's continue. The 6 of Spring. Did I even... Yeah, I read it. Wonderful news on its way. Smart choices that bring rewards, success, and public recognition. So you could be noticing, so I'm getting, you could notice someone else and like bring them on board. This could be somebody like, hey, we need somebody at our, I don't know, maybe I heard get together. Maybe it's a get together. Maybe somebody can help you with food or something like that. You heard this person's awesome at bakery, or, you know, being a chef, or maybe they do something at parties. And you know, you're like, I hear like through word of mouth, either getting a job or going to a job or doing something extra, maybe even singing, maybe like entertainment at a holiday party. You know, you're in the spotlight a little bit. Maybe it's not even something you normally do. Maybe it's an opportunity to shine. Or this is you knowing somebody who has talent. You know, you hear my friend is having a holiday party, or they have this restaurant, or there's this show and they need somebody, and my friend sings or plays the saxophone or plays the piano. We need an accompanist. Or, I don't know, dances, does something. Maybe they have a band, or you know somebody and hear something and you're like coordinating something together. So maybe it's not even you in the spotlight. You don't even really like to be in the spotlight, but you don't mind getting that spotlight together. You know, putting it all together, or connecting people together so, you know, somebody can feel successful, use their talents, use their skills in something that, you know, is needed. I'm getting, you know, like when you have like, you know, like a dance or something like that, and like nobody wants to move until you get some dancers up there to do their thing, or like, you know, some energy moving to get the party going. So maybe it's even like helpful energy at a dinner party or something like that. I just saw hors d'oeuvres. So maybe there's even a restaurant that you know that normally is a restaurant, but maybe they get extra business in the holidays. And maybe you don't even do the waiting or bartending or anything like that, but you know somebody that's looking for an extra gig, some extra holiday cash. And you can say like, yo, this restaurant does like catering on the holidays. Why don't you go in there? You know, I go in for lunch and I know they were looking for this, and that person gets the job that they really need. So it could be you as the connection, or you getting the job, or you getting that energy that you need. It could come in so many ways. I'm getting so many different things with this card, but I'm telling you, I'm getting chills now with whatever I said last. So maybe you're just helping something out. It's not something that's all the time. Maybe it's just seasonal, but maybe it's very helpful. Maybe it's just you one time. Do it one time, and maybe that becomes a gig in the spring or something later. Or you decide to wear something that's normally your art, your earrings or something like that. And you meet the right person that once more, you know, gets a small order for the holidays for you or even your kids or something like that. You wear your kids' earrings and your friend at work is like, they're really nice. And you're like, honey, do you want to make 30, 20 pairs? My friend will give you like, I don't know, $5, $10 a pair or something like that. You know, maybe that's helpful for your kid. They feel like they're shining, and little thing that they do, a craft they make or something like that. And you look like you're, that just gave me chills again. Didn't I say something about like, you're the awesome mommy and daddy, like you know what you're doing. Like you sort of got them a little something, or maybe like a solo. I would say if they're weird about it and they're uneasy about it, don't put them on the spotlight if they're not into the spotlight. Not all kids are into being thrown into the spotlight when they're not prepared or not ready for it, even if they're good. So maybe allow that person to choose if they want to do it or not. But, you know, maybe it's, I hear like yes or no, like, you know, come on. Or maybe that's someone else who had that. Maybe it's something like that. Somebody else, I'm seeing solo or something like that, but maybe there was a spot before and it has to be a yes or no because you need to fill the space because somebody left or had to go or had an emergency or something happening and you have to step in there. Maybe it's you being put on the spotlight a little bit, like you have your mom or your dad there like, oh, my kid can do it. You know, go ahead, honey, but you're now 50 and you're going to do it and you'll do a good job. You will do a good job. So if that comes up, do it. You know, if you're like hesitant, you're like, I'm getting butterflies. You know, I haven't done that in so many years. I don't know. Do it. Do it. You know, you're going to be remembered as being awesome. You just are. So I recommend that you do it. Even if you're a little nervous, go ahead and do it. I would say if it's a kid, don't push them too hard if they really just don't want to do it. Or maybe there's a way to ease their nerves and you do something with them. Or like there's a friend that can do it with them so they don't feel like they're alone if you have someone that knows that they could do it, but they just need a little bit. I think I got all these cards. This is the magical mess. I feel like I'm going to the fairies for some reason. I'm going to go to the angel next, but I think I got them all. They fell off the ottoman before. So, maybe if you know someone that needs a little bit of a support system, and even if it's like karaoke, do a duet, bring your friend. You know, you'll do awesome. You're gonna like love the experience. Don't worry about it so much, you know, it's pretty cool. I would say if there's someone who's nervous, there's probably someone else there that that person feels pretty comfortable with that they would do it for or with. You know, you just have to approach it the right way. Be gentle, you know. All right, let's get a card for the 16th of December on Victory, the 6th of Spring, 6 of Rods. And that's express your individuality. So, you know, it's your own personality, your own personal creative flair that is standing out. So let that flare shine. Let yourself sparkle a little bit. Let that person have their spotlight. You know, take your moment if it's you that's deserving that spotlight and let yourself sparkle. You know, see this situation. It could come through many different ways throughout the day even. But, you know, if you were thinking on going bland or adding a little bling or a little of yourself, that little spice, add the spice today. You know, let your wings flap a little extra. I see somebody coloring their hair. Maybe if you've been thinking about something like that, you think, no, I couldn't do purple. I'm way too old for that shit. Do it. Maybe do purple with a little, you know, a little red magenta or something like that so you don't feel like it's so much of a step. So, so fast. And maybe don't use bleach, you know, do something like I do where you just put the dye in and you don't have to like strip your hair if you have sensitive fine hair. Maybe just have a little fun. Maybe just do a little bit of color. You always thought about it. You saw those kids doing it. Now you're just going to do it. Actually, I always wanted to be one of those, like, oh, first of all, I love those like older women that have the beautiful like silver white hair. It's so beautiful. I do have pretty good genetics where my mom's in her 60s. She still has black hair. She's still not gray. She maybe has the same one that's been there for a while, but no, she looks pretty good for her age. So, you know, sometimes we go gray sooner. And I must say, when I see the young people with the gray or someone goes gray young, that's really sexy too. There's a sex appeal in that like maturity thing coming through. So work whatever you got. You know, I even like the older ladies that have the pink tint, the blue tint thing. I always thought they were the cool ones. So whatever it is you have is special. It's beautiful. You know, it's sexy. You work it. You have to work it. You know, it's loving it. Loving it. And there's always someone else who's admiring it. Who's like, I wish I had that. You know, or even if it's being bald, there's someone else like covering up their weird hair thing and they're like, I wish I just shave it off and look as, you know, confident as that guy does, you know. Or even girl, oh, I've done the old chopperoo on my hair before. My like little fall came with it. I did all the cutting of my hair myself, so I did a lot of trimming and it just didn't grow for a few years. So maybe you're doing something different, you know. You're cutting your hair, you're letting it grow, you're wearing your fun coat, you're buying a fun coat instead of a boring one. You know, you went to the Salvation Army and you found some crazy shit and you're like, I could never have found this if I didn't walk in exactly at that moment, at that time. I paid like $5 for this vintage piece of awesome and no one's gonna have this in the store and I'm gonna rock it. You know, it's that. It's awesome. So allow your true self to shine because you're awesome. However it comes through. You know, I heard gift. It could be a gift. Maybe it's something in your closet you got as a gift and you thought you'd never wear and you pull it out and you're like, when I got this 5 years ago, I was not into it at all. And I totally felt weird. Like, it's that thing you don't want to give away. Maybe somebody gave you. You know, it was worth something you kind of like, but you just didn't fit you right. Or maybe it fits you now. Or maybe now you're ballsy enough to wear it and you put it on, you're like, this looks good. What was I putting this in the closet for? I knew there was a reason I didn't want to throw it away. I didn't really realize it was because it makes me look this awesome. You know, it could be something like that. Or it could be, I got someone going out and I'm not like all about the shopping. I'm kind of getting the Salvation Army or something, but I'm thinking of the things that hang in your closet that look bad. They kind of look pretty bad, or maybe it's a particular body type. You know, everyone has a different body type, but I feel like there's always that garment that you're surprised about. And it's usually the one that looks kind of bland or boring or shitty on the hanger. And then you put it on and you're like, it's like it was tailored to me, or it just needs a little tucking or something, and it's totally worth it. It's like that, I'm getting like the gem, the find, the cashmere, the wool, you know, the things that are worth linen, things that are worth timelessness, you know, like they're always in season. Or maybe it's something that's really, really, really crazy and it was in season 30 years ago and you're bringing it back single-handedly. You're making it cool again. You're ahead of the times, you know, you're ahead of the trend here, but you're still being yourself. So maybe you're always ahead of the trend. I see books. Her hand is on some knowledge. So you know something. You have some kind of knowledge hidden away or tucked away or some kind of style. Or like, I'm hearing fabulousness. Is that a word even? Well, you have like a little dog. Look at your dog. You have a bat dog. Sometimes people have dogs that look like bats, but this actually has wings like a bat. Can you see it? Right there behind. It's like a bat dog. And you have butterfly wings, so flap your wings, baby. You know, show your fancy tights off a little bit. Tap into the inner knowledge, that inner wisdom, that inner flair that you have, and let it sparkle a little extra. It's also, she's under the moon. So I feel like you could birth something new here if you start something, if you flare something out, if you peacock a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could be, you know, hidden. Like she has a really plain dress, but underneath crazy tights. I always see crazy tights in this card. So maybe it's just one thing that stands out, but it's you. I also focus on the moon, so I feel like emotion, you know, it's when you get that wave of emotion to just put it on and do it, you know, to just go with it here. Don't question it so much. Maybe, you know, you could maybe, maybe even layers. Maybe you're doing something different where before you couldn't have on the fancy stuff and you had to tuck it away or keep it with you or pack it with you. And then, you know, you pull it out later. You pull out the fancy dress or the fancy pants or the fancy shoes later. You know, have them in your car, ready to go. I see somebody changing locations, changing things up. Having like something to do in the day and going somewhere different at night. Or I actually see packing. So maybe some of you are coming home and getting ready to go somewhere. Or packing now to go somewhere. You know, packing your things for later. Looking through your things and looking for the like the nuggets of fancy or you that you have to put together to bring somewhere special. I'm getting like a day. I mean, it's Friday, so maybe some of you are going for the weekend. I'm getting like a trip, so let's get another card. Let's go to the Angel Tarot and get clarity on Friday on the Six of Rods, the Six of Spring, and expressing your individuality. I feel like this is what is bringing the victory. This is what is coming through. This is what is being recognized. It's not being like blending in. It's you standing out. It's you doing something different, bringing something different to the table, to the conversation, to the relationship. You know, surprising somebody today with something. It could be somebody, since this is wonderful news, it could be you getting a big surprise, and maybe you just need to make sure you have the good stuff with you. You look kind of good. You know, you're feeling good today, even if you're casual. You know, just prepare yourself energetically speaking for something good. You know, expect beautiful things to come through, even if it's just hanging out with a friend. Good news at work. Finding something in your pockets. I see somebody like lifting something up and finding some money. Maybe finding a check. Maybe something like that. That was sort of weird to get with that. Wonderful news. I mean, it could be like, you know, finding, I see like, you know, this must be cash before 2 years, a year. Maybe you find it like just before you have to cash something and you find a couple $100 or something like that that you didn't even know about. Or I'm for some reason seeing one of those like where you actually paid for something so you don't expect something back ever, but you find out through a letter or something that you open, since there's books here. Maybe open your mail, something like that, and maybe there's something that you closed or, you know, closed a book on or whatever, but you paid too much, or there's a refund or something coming back to you didn't expect. That's kind of cool. Let's get a card for Friday the 16th. Three of Raphael. So you're definitely getting some good news or celebrating, even if it's just happy news about a friend. It could be like a friend, I'm hearing pregnant. Maybe a friend is pregnant or having some really beautiful things going on with their kids, talking about your kids, helping out each other, your friends. So when I see this card, I see like the friends helping each other out. Like, you know, can you watch my kids this afternoon so I can do this, or go shopping and I'll pick your kids up tomorrow. I know that's not for all of you and you don't all have kids, but I get that with this card. But it's also hanging out with your friends, celebrating, going out after work, you know, forgetting about work, not bringing work up, or laughing about work, you know, making light of it, finding solutions by not being there all of a sudden. You know, knowing there's too big of a party, too much celebration. I feel like sometimes when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, or the three of Raphael can come up and there's a lot of emotions in the same energetic field. There could be gossip or too much talking or too much, like too many opinions going on because everyone cares about their thing, or this has to happen, but I have to have this done, blah, blah, blah. So see, like, I feel like that's not really big coming through, but it could come through at one point today, you know, where someone, you look around and maybe that's not you or the ultimate celebration, but maybe that was the past. Or something you come across today where someone's feeling a little bit overwhelmed with their surroundings or their emotions. And I feel like you're the calming influence. Like, you can be the helpful thing coming through. It's your, like I'm even getting this, like, you're coming from battles and stuff. And it's like you and your friend, or you and somebody you work with, somebody you even just pass on the street, like somebody in line, you know, in the checkout counter at the grocery store. And you know, sometimes people just start talking. Oh, they do to me. They start just talking to me. I also talk to people, so it goes both ways, I guess. But sometimes people do, are like, oh, why have that? And I was doing this today, and they just have a whole conversation with you, and you're like, wow, they needed to get that out. But maybe they did need to get it out, and maybe you're that person there with the right thing to say. So you can help smooth that situation over. I feel like don't be, if you're surprised by somebody talking to you when you're just out and about, do your thing. You know, maybe you are that little angel in their world to bring some light to their situation, or just help them out, or be like, I've been there. I totally know. Don't be so stressed. It'll work out. Just do this first, or go that direction and you won't get lost. Or it's best when I do this with my kid and I prepare beforehand before we go somewhere. Or I've been to that town before. It's over there. Or I met that person and they look pretty awesome. Like, I'm getting like a friend. So maybe you're talking about somebody, or you happen to know somebody that knows somebody, and you get like the okay by a friend. Like, oh no, that person's pretty awesome. Totally say yes to that. That was weird. I'm not sure what I just said. So going back to 3 of Raphael, it's creativity and it's emotion. It's happiness. You know, it's abundance. It's pleasure. It's feeling good where you are in your environment, making your environment feel better, even if it felt weird, even if there was energy that was off. I feel like you turn things around. You know, you use your creativity in the flow of things and your natural, maybe empathy, you know, with what's going on in that situation, each person, their emotions, their situations too. I feel like you're the one, I keep getting control. So I feel like you're the one that can handle that. Even if you're like an introvert or kind of quiet, that'll be the right energy to handle that situation. Sometimes some big energy comes, you know, and instead of going back at it with a big energy, you go back with like a whisper or something quiet, and that's the reaction that person needed, or that was the energy. I hear reflux, or like maybe opposite energy they needed. Maybe they had a lot going on, they were all amped up or upset about something, and you're just a calming influence, like exactly the opposite instead of the same energy. In other cases, I'm getting the same energy is good. Like if someone's like hitting on you, or they're being kind of aggressive and they feel like you're going to be the introvert or not take that right, or they sort of did it to get attention from you, they go right back at them with the same big, bold energy and surprise them a little bit, you know? Like, not mean, just as confident as they said that to you. And then sometimes people are taken aback because they're not used to that confidence coming back. They're used to a weird reaction. They're getting it to get a kick out of something or whatever. I'm getting the weird, like, cat calls or something. And sometimes if you just say, you know, either sometimes it's actually genuine. If someone says that, like, God bless you, or like those are kind of sweet. They don't mean much, you know, usually it's an older person or whatever. And, or they say like, you know, have a wonderful day, or you're so beautiful, or something like that. Maybe someone's genuine. They actually mean it, and just say, thank you. You have a nice day too. And they didn't even expect you to turn around and say thank you. And that catches them off guard and actually makes them happy. Like maybe they just wanted a sweet reaction and they didn't really mean it as anything harmful. In other cases, if you feel like it's a weird thing coming at you, just go ahead and do your thing, girl, boy. Say whatever you need to say back to that situation to just make it right, you know, and be like, oh, you know, I get just someone being kind of a smart ass back, and that getting respect. So that was sort of a weird tangent. Reasons to celebrate: a community of friends, happy announcements regarding relationships, or children. That's cool. So let's sum up this reading with the Oracle of Visions by Ciro Machete and get clarity on the Three of Raphael, the Six of Spring. So Three of Cups, Six of Rods, and express your individuality. Let's get one more card for Friday, the 16th of December, 2016. I don't realize how loud my heat is until it actually shuts off. So hopefully that's a nice white noise and not, I don't know, it feels nice now. I feel like, whew, it's nice. And we have, this is like the illusion, delusion, having discernment, making what's not real, real. This is like, this is nice. I feel like, all right, this is two ways, twofold for me. It can be like the trickster energy, understanding what comes to you, and maybe, you know, maybe it's that thing like, maybe not everything that comes to you offering peace is actually peaceful. It's having discernment in that. Trusting that you can feel the real energy going on in that situation and feel it out, good, weird, negative, whatever, and react accordingly. But there's also like a warping thing that comes to technology in our time with this card. Because so much of our interaction now is not in person. You know, sometimes we feel weird or others feel weird when the person starts talking to us on the street or whatever. You're like, whoa, whoa, you're really talking to me. Or, you know, you see people out and they're just on their phones. They're not talking to each other. I mean, I can see having a conversation and maybe you're doing something, you're looking up movies or looking up something fun or showing somebody something and they're having an interaction with each other through what you get to look up, which is pretty cool. It is pretty cool, but it's when you ignore the person and you're in the car with someone and you don't have a conversation anymore. You know, or just maybe meditate because you're always doing something. It's not really having that relationship and talking on the phone because you're always texting and not understanding that perhaps somebody's inflections of what they say make all the difference in what they're texting, you know, and you're not understanding it if you don't really know them yet. Or, you know, I mean, hopefully if you know someone really well, you understand their texts or how they come across, but that doesn't always happen. There's a lot of misrepresenting something and illusions that come through video and not really knowing something, or if something is true, or the, you know, you see somebody's profile and you only see their pictures and you meet them and they look really, really hot, really, really pretty. And then they're just like, there's no connection, or they just don't get what you're talking about, or they have no sense of humor at all, or they're just an asshole, or they're just not for you, or, you know, there's something and they look good in the picture, but it takes actually approaching and, you know, speaking with that person to see where they're coming from, how their perspective is, what they actually have to go through on a day-to-day basis, what you actually had to go through to get to where you are, what illusions you had to bust to have some victory, you know, what you had tucked away and what you had to decide to bring forward and express and let somebody see. Maybe this is, you know, somebody never saw this side of you. They never saw you with blue hair. They never saw you with weird tights. They never saw you with the funny suit. They never saw you sing. They never saw you pull that instrument out. They never saw your art. You know, they thought you were this serious businessman the whole time. You know, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, whatever. And then you have this talent that comes out at parties where you whip out the piano playing. You know, it's like, whoa, what just happened? I always thought you were this. And now I'm seeing something totally different. It's like that other side. You need to bust some illusions here and allow something that's really you to come forward so you don't feel like you're living in an illusion. Living like with a mask on all the time. If there's a mask there or something that's amplifying, make it amplify you. You know? Make it special for you. When I see this, I hear symbols. Like I look at that as symbols. Like hearing something. been jumping through hoops a little bit. Like you have to jump through hoops somehow with something expects there to be when they don't really see how it is to actually do it, or actually have that job, or actually have this going on in their life and this experience happening. You know, it's like you see me like this, but it's almost, it could be like a YouTube thing, or knowing a celebrity or something like that, where you see somebody one way, or you see them at their job and they're always happy and chipper, but you don't understand they have some shit going on at home. They can come on and do their job, be businesslike, do what they have to do, not ruin your day, sit at the front desk, put on a smile, and they got some shit going on at home. That could be you. That could be somebody you know. You didn't even know they were going through, like, their family being sick, or this happening with their kid, or they just experienced that in their life, or they have experienced something in their life, and now they know how to handle their situation, but maybe they don't know their whole situation. You know, so try to see the other person's perspective. Try to turn things around and see something in someone else's shoes. And maybe there's something that they didn't understand about you, too. You know, you can throw on this thing and have a video and you don't understand how many interruptions I had before this got going to get to the end of one video, which is now another 40-minute video. So we're going to finish with this and clarify number 25. It's also a 7. It brings you spiritual truth, spiritual direction, spiritual discernment, and change. It's misleading, illusion, and confusion. Do not be misled by what you see around you or be influenced by what you see. You live in a world which is a playground of illusion, full of false paths, false values, false ideals. It just made me think of, like, when people put up, like, videos that are just bullshit, or just literally have no substance to get a view count, or just, like, substanceless to get substanceless, and it still fuels its own substanceless thing. So maybe you need to bust through the confusion in the illusion with something of substance. Even if it's just a little bit of something coming from you. You know, I'm seeing the dove. I know my thing is dove, but I feel like it has to do with bringing peace to a situation that you probably just didn't see the whole thing before. You just didn't understand before. You were misled. Somebody misled you because they didn't understand. They didn't have all the knowledge. They didn't have the experience. You know, simple confusion, simple miscommunication. And I feel like the victory is now coming because that's ending. That's over. You're coming into your own. You're becoming aware of something. You're handling something victoriously and smoothly. So what we experience and how we interact is often indirect and from a distance. Physical interaction that would normally have provided all of our senses opportunity for feedback and assessment is now increasingly being replaced by virtual alternatives. From email, texting, to social networking, our relationships are becoming increasingly defined by virtual interaction that can distort and substitute reality. We can now create multiple identities, you know? And that's our society. It's not a wrong or a right. It just is. So you need to work with that so you don't feel like you're spreading yourself too thin, or putting on such a veil all the time that you forgot about something that's you. You're always trying to please everyone else, trying to make this person happy with that picture, and not say this because of that person. And maybe it just starts with being true to yourself, true to your own relationships, having integrity in your relationships. So if it is a social media thing and you were in that person's shoes and you're being like, if this is gossip with this, where'd it go? The 3 of Raphael, it's up to you to be responsible and to not to involve yourself in it more and put more negative energy into something you don't understand. Maybe you've never been in that situation. So maybe it's just ignoring it, not getting involved in it in the first place, and maybe replacing it with love. Maybe if you see people gossiping, you can replace that with love. Be like, well, that person is always pretty good at this, and they're handling a lot like this. Or at least try to feel that inside of you if you don't want to be involved in that at all, and be like, well, I feel like that person has love or whatever. Or maybe there's something going on I don't understand. And try to put some loving energy into that situation and release it. Because there's always things that you don't understand behind the scenes. You just don't know. So, you know, best to just not involve yourself with the gossip at the water cooler if that's going on. You know, handle it with love. Don't amplify it up, because that could be you in those shoes. It could be you that's misunderstood, right? So, email and social networking or relationships are increasingly defined by virtual interaction that can distort and substitute reality. We can now create multiple new identities. How we go about quantifying people and events is now increasingly based on paradigms that can provide a false perspective, both for viewed and viewer alike. So I'm going to end with that. I hope this was beneficial. I hope it was helpful. I hope there are parts that resonate for you. Thank you for being here. I love you so much. I'll see you soon.